take that out here in just a second. You guys maybe remember from intermediate algebra that you have all sorts of different equations that you can learn how to graph. This one is y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And maybe you guys remember graphing things like this, say x and y. You guys remember making charts like that? Where you would plug in certain values and then you'd get out another value. So for example, I could try plugging in 1. And I would take 1 and square it, and I would get 1 minus 2 times 1 would be 2, and then minus 3. So it looks like the x value we plugged in was 1, but the y value is 1 minus 2 minus 3. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 3 is negative 4. So what that means is that there's a coordinate of 1, negative 4 on this parabola. If you look here, does it look like it has a coordinate of 1, negative 4? Sure does. Wouldn't it be nice if there were a quicker way of making the graph instead of plugging in all those different points? And there is, and we can give you guys an example. Okay, so this is what we call standard form of a parabola. Instead of graphing something like y equals mx plus b, where x is to the first power, this x is to the second power. This x is to the second power, okay? And that's what we're going to learn how to graph today. I would like you guys to take out your Chromebooks, and I'd like you to go to Desmos, desmos.com. If you do not have your Chromebook with you, simply follow along with the person that's next to you. I'm going to let this run, and we're going to check out Desmos. So these are notes that you could choose to say, hey, I'm going to put these on the test. When the absolute value of a is less than 1, then instead of being narrow, it's wide. If the absolute value of a is equal to 1, then it's what we call just a normal-looking parabola. Okay? Normal-looking parabola. And we will go ahead and get our third point here in just a second. Flip over to the next side. We are actually spending a couple days on this, okay? So our goal today is to do 2 problems together. And then tomorrow we'll do a couple more problems. We'll give you the rest of the hour to work in class together, you know, on the assignment. Be able to work through and check your answers and stuff like that, okay? So we start with example A. We have a parabola in standard form. I'm going to identify A, B, and C, and I'm going to get going. What is A in this problem? 1. It's the number in front of x squared. What is B? 6. It's the number in front of x. And what is C? It is 1. Now, there's some things that we can tell about the parabola super quick from the very beginning that we don't have to think a lot about. Its direction is it could go up or down. It's going to go up. Why? Because A is positive. Very good. The x squared is positive, so it goes up. There's a 1 in front of there. So is it going to be wide, narrow, or normal? It's going to be a normal-shaped parabola. The Y-intercept is super easy to find as well. Do you remember which one tells us the Y-intercept? C. And what is C? 1. So that means it actually crosses through the y-axis at 1, and we'll plot that point in just a second. So here's the only part that's really challenging about the whole graphing parabola piece, and that's the vertex. Do you remember the formula for the vertex? Negative b divided by 2a. So I need to work that out, and this is where you will get points and lose points on the test, is being able to work this through. What is negative b? Negative 6. So I take negative 6 divided by, what's 2 times a? 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Please understand, everybody, that's the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate is negative 3. You now have to get the y-coordinate. Do you know how you get the y-coordinate? You plug it back in. And if you want to use a calculator at that point, you sure can. All I do is I just take negative 3, and I always put it in parentheses. Get rid of all that stuff. Parentheses, negative 3, parentheses squared, plus 6 times negative 3, plus 1. We get negative 8. I do have sets of calculators back there if you'd like to borrow one during class. But it looks like our vertex is negative 3, negative 8. So I'm going to plot that. My vertex, back 3 and down 8. If any problems with the assignment take you off of the graph, I'm sorry. But not that sorry. Like, you know, it's kind of an inconvenience, but I think you can work through it, don't you? Okay. We know it heads up. There's another point I can put on here, and that is the y-intercept. We know it goes through 1 on the y-axis. We also know another part of it, and that's the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is what divides the parabola right in half. Be that guy right there. I always call the axis of symmetry x equals, and you remember what x equals? Close. It's always the x value of your vertex. What is it going through? It's going through negative 3. I want to be clear, folks. This is an equation for a vertical line. If you just write negative 3, I'm going to mark it wrong. Not all of it, but I'll take a half a point off on the test. You need to write x equals every time. X equals. It's an equation for a line. It's not just a number. Finally, the third point. Does anybody know what I can do in order to get a third point? What does it mean to be symmetrical? Same on one side as the other, right? So that means that if there's one point on this side of the line, then there's another point on the other side of the line. This is the axis of symmetry. It divides it perfectly in half. So if I put this point on the other side, that would mean it would go right about here, correct? What's that coordinate? -6, +1, right? Now we have 3 points. And that way we can make an accurate sketch of the graph. Not too bad, huh? So that was our first example. We're going to do one more today, and then we'll quit for the day. Tomorrow when we get to class, we'll do C and D together, and then you're going to start working on your assignment. But now that we've seen one work all the way through, what's an easy thing to figure out here? Let's do it together. Which one do you want to figure out first? Direction, what is it? It's down. Awesome. What else can you figure out? Shape? Wide, narrow, normal. Any thoughts? Normal. Yep, because it doesn't, don't think about the negative when you think about the shape. It's a 1 in front of there, right? If it's a 1, it's just a normal looking shape. We got normal. There's another one up here that's really easy to find. What is it? What is the y-intercept? Yeah, it's just this number on the end there. Look, we've already found half of them right here, right? That was pretty good. So how do we find the vertex? Negative b divided by negative b divided by 2a. Negative b divided by 2a. What is negative b? It's +2. It's opposite what you see, so it's +2 divided by, what is 2 times a? -2. 2 divided by -2? -1. So you can see it's easy to make a mistake there, isn't it? So you got to keep your stuff organized. So I've got -1 for the x value. I'm going to find the y value. And I make mistakes, so I'm just going to plug it right into my calculator. I've got a negative, so I do the negative sign, parentheses, -1 squared, minus 2 parentheses, -1, plus 2. I just type it right in. Okay? You guys can do the same thing with your calculator. It's going to spit it out. If you use your phone, it's not going to work as well, trust me. I get 3. So I'm going to plot it. Back 1, up 3. What other point should I plot? That's the vertex. I'm going to plot the y-intercept. You can see the axis of symmetry goes right through the vertex. It always goes right through the vertex. What is the equation for the axis of symmetry? X equals, if you remember, it's always the x value of your vertex. Can I get a third point now? Yeah, I just take that y-intercept and I reflect it over. It looks like that's going to be at -2, 2. And now I can sketch my graph. We have seen this before, right? This was 9th grade. We're going over it more quickly, and you're going to see more of it. But hopefully some of this should kind of connect with you. Yes. For this guy, we're going to take this -1 and we plug it into the original equation. So as I type it in, notice what I have there. Wherever I had an x, I just put a -1 in its place. Do you see it now? Okay, thank you. Excellent question. Did everybody understand that question? You see where it is now? And that's why I like about these calculators is you just type in the same equations, just wherever you see an X, you put a parenthesis in your number, and it'll give you the right answer every time. Okay? Good. Okay, please bring that to class tomorrow. If you want to try any of your work, you can see your worksheet, but you are going to have time tomorrow in class to work on this worksheet. If you'd like to try to get started, you sure can, but you are going to be given time tomorrow. So thanks for a good first day, folks, and we'll get back at it tomorrow.